Welcome grade 12s, my name is Katlego Nakedi, and on this video we'll be going through problem 1 of our tutorials. We'll be doing typical exam questions for differential calculus, specifically looking at rules of differentiation. Now this problem 1, it's question 7 from a June 2017 Eastern Cape paper 1 question paper. Now, but specifically for this tutorial, this question 7 will be our problem 1. So we'll start with 7.1. Okay, 7.1. It says, determine the derivative of f of x is equals to minus 2x squared from first principles. Now, this is important, grade 12s. Now, I believe by now you know that we can find the derivative, also known as the gradient function of a tangent line to a curve at a certain point, using either first principles or rules of differentiation. Now, for this question 7.1, they restrict us from using other rules. We are asked to specifically use first principles. Okay, now we are given that f of x is equals to minus 2x squared. And if you check your formula sheet, the derivative formula for first principle is given by f of f prime x is equals to the limit as h approaches 0, fx plus h minus f of x is equals to or divided by h. Okay, now from here it's a matter of substitution. Now if you look at this, we see that f of x is equals to minus 2x squared. So we are sorted with this one, we can substitute directly. But now we are given f of x plus h. Now what does this mean? It means that from this general function that is given, where we see x, we can substitute x plus h. So the graph shifted h units to the right or left, depending on the question. Now this is going to be minus 2, where I see x, I substitute x plus h. X plus h, and then squared. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to simplify in here for substitute. I will have limit as h approaches 0 sorry, f of x plus h is given by minus 2 into x plus h squared minus. Now it's very important to put this inside the bracket, as this negative is going to affect whatever that is inside the bracket. So it's very important to put it inside the bracket. So we're going to have minus 2x squared divided by h. So now we're just going to simplify. I believe now limit as h approaches 0, this is going to be minus 2 open bracket. If I simplify this, which I believe you can simplify, factorization, x squared plus 2xh plus h squared, close bracket, minus into minus 2x squared. There's a mistake here. This was not supposed to be. This squared was supposed to be here, okay, because that was going to change the expression there, divided by h. Now I'm going to remove the bracket, limit sh approaches 0, because we're gonna have minus 2x squared minus 4xh minus 2h squared plus, because negative times negative, positive 2x squared, and then divide by h. Now the good thing about this first principle is that you can see if you've already made a mistake. When you get to this point, you'll see that all the terms that do not have h, they will cancel. If you look at minus 2x squared will cancel with 2x squared. Then you'll be left with limit sh approaches 0. At the top we'll be left with minus 4xh minus 2h squared divided by h. Just gonna scroll down. Okay. Now again, you will see that on top, on the numerator there, we've got two terms and they both contain h. So I'm going to take h as a common factor. So I'll have limit sh approaches 0. Going to take h as a common factor. I'll be left with minus 4x minus 2h divided by h. Now this h at the top will cancel h at the bottom. This will cancel that. Then I'll be left with limit sh approaches 0 minus 4x minus 2h. Now that I don't have h as a denominator, I can just say, or we know that since this limit sh approaches 0, this will be the same as saying minus 4x minus 2 times 0. Therefore, our final answer is going to be minus 4x, and that will complete your question. Now we will continue with question 7.2. It says determine, and then 7.2.1, dy dx if y is equals to 6x plus 4x squared multiplied by the root of x. So the first thing that we do, we write what is given. 7.2.1, we are given that y is equals to 6x plus 4x squared multiplied by the root of x. Okay, now this question is 3 marks. Now we are given the notation that we need to do when we start differentiating. But the first thing that we have to do, because we can't differentiate when we have a question like this, an equation like this, we have to simplify it first. So I'm going to simplify this. One of the tips is that you can't, or when coming to differentiation, you can't differentiate when you have fractions, when you have brackets, when you have square roots. So we must get rid of those things first before we can start applying rules of differentiation. So we're gonna have, I'm simplifying, 6x plus 4x 4x squared. Now this is the same as x to the exponent 1 over 2. I'm going to continue simplifying. 6x plus 4. Now when you look at this x squared and x to the exponent 1 over 2, we can say that they both have the same base. And we know from rules of exponents or loss of exponents that when you have bases that are the same, you add the exponents. So we can see that the bases are the same, which is x, so we're going to add the exponent. So this will be x into 2 plus 1 over 2. So 6x plus 4, what is 2 plus 1 over 2? 2 plus 1 over 2 is 5 over 3. Let's quickly confirm that using a calculator. Okay, calculator is giving us problems. I'm just going to continue, but yes, 2 plus 1 over 2 is the same as 5 over 2. What's happening here? 5 over 2. Okay, now that everything has been simplified, we can start applying rules of differentiation. And we know that the notation that is allowed for this problem is dy dx is given dy dx. Now this means that we are differentiating y in terms of x. So this will be 6x, we know we take the exponent which is 1, we minus 1, plus we take the 4, we multiply it by the exponent which is 5, divide by 2, multiply by x, we take the exponent which was 5 over 2, we minus 1. And then when I simplify this is 6x to the exponent 0, any number raised to the exponent 0, it's 1, so we'll be left with x plus, what is 4 times 5 over 2? 4 times 5, it's 20, 20 divided by 2, it's 10. Multiply by, when I simplify 5 over 2 minus 1, I'll be left with 3 divided by 2, and that will be your final answer. But it is also advisable to leave your answer in set form if it was given in set form, meaning if you had the square root, you must leave your answer in square root. But that is not always the case, but I will just show you anyway. So this will be 6 plus 10, and then when I change x to the exponent over 2, this will be the same as x cubed. We know that the 2 is there, but we don't write it. So that will be this question. Now we move to 7.2.2. We are given that dt, open bracket, 1 minus 3t squared divided by 6t squared. Now we can see here we are also given a different notation, and here the question just said 3.7.2 determine this expression. Okay, so like I said, you can't apply rules of differentiation when you have fractions, when you have when you have square roots, when you have brackets, when you have what's the other thing? When you have variables at the bottom, not at this level. Yes, when you move to your first year, next year, yes, you will find more ways of solving these problems. But for your level as grade 12s, you need to make sure that you get rid of those things before you can start applying rules of differentiation. So I'm going to simplify this, and when coming to this notation, when you are simplifying, you write everything as it is. You include the dt, you include the brackets, and you simplify. Now, how will I simplify this? We can agree that if you have something like an expression like x divided by z minus 3x squared divided by z, this will be the same as z, everything z minus x minus 3x squared. This is the same as that, which means that is also the same as that. So for this problem, I'm already given that. Now I want to write it like that. So I'm going to separate it. So I'll be left with 1 over 6t squared minus 3t squared divided by 6t squared. So what I did is I took the top expression, or the two terms at the top, I separated them into 2 because they are both divided by 60 squared, which is common. Now I will continue simplifying. We can agree that 1 over 6 is the same. 1 over 6 is 1 over 6. But again, like I said, you can't differentiate when you have an exponent that you're trying to, not an exponent, a variable that you're trying to differentiate being at the bottom. So you must take this to be a numerator. And then how do we take this? We just say, okay, this is 1 over 6. When I take this up, it's going to be t to the exponent minus 2, because we know that a to the exponent minus m is the same as 1 over am. This being one of the laws of exponents. Okay, so this is what I did there. Now I'll be left with minus 3 divided by 6. What is 3 divided by 6? 3 divided by 6 is the same as 1 over 2. T squared will cancel t squared. I'll only be left with 1 over 2. So that has been simplified. Now that I don't have the denominator, I don't have the fraction at the denominator, I don't have square roots, I don't have fractions, I don't have brackets, I can start applying rules of differentiation. For this particular notation, the t or the x or the z or the y, depending on the variables given, when you start applying rules of differentiation, so I'll make a start to show that now we're applying rules of differentiation. For this notation, you don't write dy dx, you don't write y prime, you don't write f of x, you just write equals to show that now you're applying rules of differentiation. Okay, we know that this will be 1 over 6 multiplied by minus 2 multiplied by t minus 2 minus 1. And when we know that the derivative of a constant, because 1 over 2 is a constant, it doesn't have a fraction, a variable, it's the same as 0. So it's minus 0, and I'm not gonna write it. So this will be negative 2 divided by 6 multiplied by t to the exponent minus 3. And it is also advisable to leave your simplified expression or equation with a positive exponent. So this t minus 3, I'm going to write it as 1 over t cubed. So minus 2 over 6 multiplied by 1 over t cubed. This will be the same as, what is 2 divided by 6? 2 divided by 6 is the same as 1 over 3, but we have a negative, and then t cubed will be there, and that will be the final answer. Thank you.